Pami Friend, ketemu lagi sama aku, Mipi. Aku mau ngajakin kamu buat ngejelajahin fitur-fitur yang ada di Pahmify nih. Yuk berangkuy. Yang pertama ada fitur belajar. Di sini tersedia berbagai pelajaran dari kelas 10 sampai kelas 12, baik IPA maupun IPS. Nah, di dalamnya nih ada video konsep yang dilengkapi dengan animasi seru. Kalau nggak percaya, coba aja nih lihat serunya video belajar Pahmify.
Orang yang beli banyak. Kenapa kok? Kok kayaknya frustasi gitu?
Itu pas Hayam Wuruk punya keinginan buat ngelamar Putri Diah Pitaloka. Di sisi lain, ada Gajah Mada yang pengen nyatuin kerajaan Majapahit dan Sunda Galuh. Nah,
Berat, aku gak akan kuat, biar kamu aja.
Coba, lihat dong. Panjang banget. Tolong bacain. Tolong.
The parents heard Buto Ijo's footsteps entering the house. "Run, Timun Mas! Save your life!" said the mother.
Then he kicked the boat until it flew far, far away. The boat came to rest upside down and turned into a mountain, which is now known as Tangkuban Perahu Mountain.
Puncak kekecewaan ini terjadi dalam peristiwa Boston Tea Party di tanggal 16 Desember 1773. Mereka ngebuang semua teh yang ada di kapal itu ke laut. Dinamain Boston Tea Party karena pembuangan tehnya kayak suasana pesta. Party!
Selain video konsep, di dalam fitur belajar juga ada kuis, rangkuman, dan flashcard yang bakal bikin kamu makin lebih paham. Terus ada fitur materi UTBK. Di sini kamu bisa belajar materi-materi UTBK loh. Kayak tes potensi skolastik atau TPS dan tes potensi akademik atau TPA. Terus ada fitur tryout. Di sini kamu bisa mengikuti berbagai macam tes, kayak simulasi ujian sekolah, tryout UTBK, sampai tryout ujian mandiri. Di dalam tryout UTBK-nya nih, udah dilengkapin sama pembahasan teks dan video, analisis IRT, leaderboard, grafik progres, sama rasionalisasi kampus. Keren banget kan? Terus nih, ada fitur persiapan kuliah. Di sini kamu bisa dapetin informasi dari berbagai perguruan tinggi, dari mulai profil kampusnya sampai fakultas apa aja yang tersedia. Selain itu, kamu juga bisa dapetin nih berbagai informasi jurusan yang ada. Hayo, kamu mau kuliah di mana? Terus ada fitur konseling. Di sini kamu bisa konsultasi secara online dengan psikolog dan dapetin berbagai macam video konseling. Wah, aku mau curhat dong, Kak. Kemudian ada fitur tips dan motivasi yang berisi video-video tips cara belajar dan sistem belajar ala Hutata dan Pahmify. Terus ada apa lagi nih? Nah, selanjutnya ada fitur ekstrakurikuler. Di sini kamu bisa ngembangin skill di luar pelajaran sekolah kamu, kayak programming, video editing, fotografi, bahasa, dan masih banyak lagi. Hihi, asik. Belajarnya jadi nggak bosan lagi deh. Terakhir ada fitur minat dan bakat. Kamu bisa ikut tes minat dan bakat buat tahu kamu cocoknya di bidang apa. Oh iya, ada yang ketinggalan nih. Ada juga fitur target belajar biar ngebantu kamu buat lebih fokus sama tujuan kamu. Semua fitur ini bisa kamu dapetin kalau kamu langganan aplikasi Pahmify. Kalau yang ini wajib pakai diamond dulu ya. Jadi tunggu apa lagi? Yuk cobain dan dapetin semua fitur menarik ini sekarang juga. Huhu, Mipi tunggu ya. Halo Pami Friend, ketemu lagi sama aku, Mipi. Aku mau ngajakin kamu buat ngejelajahin fitur-fitur yang ada di Pahmify nih. Yuk berangkuy. Yang pertama ada fitur belajar. Di sini tersedia berbagai pelajaran dari kelas 10 sampai kelas 12, baik IPA maupun IPS. Nah, di dalamnya nih ada video konsep yang dilengkapi dengan animasi seru. Kalau nggak percaya, coba aja nih lihat serunya video belajar Pahmify.
Orang yang beli banyak. Kenapa kok? Kok kayaknya frustasi gitu?
Itu pas Hayam Wuruk punya keinginan buat ngelamar Putri Diah Pitaloka. Di sisi lain, ada Gajah Mada yang pengen nyatuin kerajaan Majapahit dan Sunda Galuh. Nah,
Berat. Aku nggak akan kuat. Biar kamu aja.
Coba, lihat dong. Wih, panjang banget. Tolong bacain.
The boat came to rest upside down and turned into a mountain, which is now known as Tangkuban Perahu Mountain.
Puncak kekecewaan ini terjadi dalam peristiwa Boston Tea Party di tanggal 16 Desember 1773. Mereka ngebuang semua teh yang ada di kapal itu ke laut. Dinamain Boston Tea Party karena pembuangan tehnya kayak suasana pesta. Party!
Selain video konsep, di dalam fitur belajar juga ada kuis, rangkuman, dan flashcard yang bakal bikin kamu makin lebih paham. Terus ada fitur materi UTBK. Di sini kamu bisa belajar materi-materi UTBK loh. Kayak tes potensi skolastik atau TPS dan tes potensi akademik atau TPA. Terus ada fitur tryout. Di sini kamu bisa mengikuti berbagai macam tes, kayak simulasi ujian sekolah, tryout UTBK, sampai tryout ujian mandiri. Di dalam tryout UTBK-nya nih, udah dilengkapin sama pembahasan teks dan video, analisis IRT, leaderboard, grafik progres, sama rasionalisasi kampus. Keren banget kan? Terus nih, ada fitur persiapan kuliah. Di sini kamu bisa dapetin informasi dari berbagai perguruan tinggi, dari mulai profil kampusnya sampai fakultas apa aja yang tersedia. Selain itu, kamu juga bisa dapetin nih berbagai informasi jurusan yang ada. Hayo, kamu mau kuliah di mana? Terus ada fitur konseling. Di sini kamu bisa konsultasi secara online dengan psikolog dan dapetin berbagai macam video konseling. Wah, aku mau curhat dong, Kak. Kemudian ada fitur tips dan motivasi yang berisi video-video tips cara belajar dan sistem belajar ala Hutata dan Fahmify. Terus ada apa lagi nih? Nah, selanjutnya ada fitur ekstrakurikuler. Di sini kamu bisa ngembangin skill di luar pelajaran sekolah kamu, kayak programming, video editing, fotografi, bahasa, dan masih banyak lagi. Hihi, asik. Belajarnya jadi nggak bosan lagi deh. Terakhir ada fitur minat dan bakat. Kamu bisa ikut tes minat dan bakat buat tahu kamu cocoknya di bidang apa. Oh iya, ada yang ketinggalan nih. Ada juga fitur target belajar biar ngebantu kamu buat lebih fokus sama tujuan kamu. Semua fitur ini bisa kamu dapetin kalau kamu langganan aplikasi Fahmify. Kalau yang ini wajib pakai diamond dulu ya. Jadi tunggu apa lagi? Yuk cobain dan dapetin semua fitur menarik ini sekarang juga. Huhu, Mipi tunggu ya.
Hai semuanya, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Sebelumnya kami ingin say hi kepada peserta yang udah ikut rangkaian acara kita hari ini. Salam sejahtera bagi kita semua.
Selamat siang dan selamat datang kepada seluruh peserta We Women in Business Grand Conference 2021. Perkenalkan saya Denis Tiasmara bersama Maira Sashi selaku Masters of Ceremony pada acara We Women in Business Grand Conference 2021 hari kedua.
Oke, kami ingin mengucapkan terima kasih yang sebesar-besarnya karena telah meluangkan waktunya untuk berpartisipasi dalam acara We Women in Business Grand Conference 2021.
Untuk teman-teman peserta yang melewatkan penjelasan di hari kemarin mengenai apa sih WeWip Grand Conference 2021, ada sedikit info nih untuk kalian semua. Jadi, We Women in Business Grand Conference merupakan bagian dari rangkaian acara WWIB Grand Conference 2021. Jadi, WWIB Grand Conference merupakan bagian dari acara We Women in Business Summit. Nah, Grand Conference tahun ini adalah acara non-profit yang bertujuan untuk menghubungkan berbagai wanita dari berbagai latar belakang dengan wanita-wanita dari yang memiliki pengaruh di bidangnya masing-masing secara berkelanjutan. Dengan diadakannya UIWIB Grand Conference 2021, yang pertama ini, kami berharap dapat membantu para peserta untuk melihat lebih jelas jalur karir seperti apa sih yang teman-teman inginkan, serta memberdayakan dan menginspirasi teman-teman sekalian untuk menjadi wanita yang teman-teman impikan.
Oke, jadi pada hari ini UIWIB Grand Conference 2021 akan membawakan 2 sesi panel, yaitu panel 3 yang bertemakan Women in Position of Influence, Exploring the Journeys of Female Leaders, and panel keempat yang bertemakan Beauty and Beyond, Tackling Beauty Standards and Building Self-Esteem. Tapi tentunya kesuksesan UI Women in Business Grand Conference 2021 tidak terlepas dari dukungan para sponsor kita, yaitu L'Oreal Indonesia, Pahamify, Tokopedia, Sosiola, Ucita Pohan, Tala Management by Lizzie Para, Kolese Ruang, Follow Your Flow, Ginsu, Go Work, Second Day, Avatar Brands, Mingku, Semua Sekolah, STEM for Women, Natuno Lab, Raden Prisya, dan yang terakhir, Rata.id.
Betul banget. Jadi selain pihak-pihak yang tadi yang mendukung keberlangsungan dan kelancaran UIWIB Grand Conference 2021, ada beberapa hal yang teman-teman peserta perlu ketahui juga nih. Maka dari itu, saya akan membacakan beberapa aturan demi kenyamanan teman-teman semua. Jadi yang pertama, para peserta diharapkan untuk menghadiri Zoom webinar 15 menit sebelum berlangsungnya konferensi. Kedua, para peserta diharapkan untuk menggunakan nama Zoom sesuai dengan nama yang telah diregistrasikan di Goers. Dan ketiga, bagi peserta yang ingin bertanya kepada panelis ketika sesi panel berlangsung, dapat langsung aja diketik di bagian Q&A Zoom di bawah.
Ya, betul banget. Aku juga mau ngingetin untuk teman-teman untuk join the hype dengan ikut posting story using We Women in Business IG filter, namanya Empower, dan kalian bisa tulis insights yang kalian dapetin dari Grand Conference hari ini. Jangan lupa tag 3 teman kamu, dan 20 story paling menarik akan mendapat goodie bag dari kami.
Oke, kita nggak usah lama-lama lagi, pasti teman-teman udah nggak sabar banget untuk mulai panel ketiga ini. Aku persilahkan Sashi sebagai moderator untuk panel 3. Silahkan Sashi, the stage is yours.
Oke, Ra, thank you banget. Kita harus berpisah dulu nih, karena hari ini moderator kita yang pada awalnya itu sebenarnya adalah Kak Marta. Tapi Kak Marta berhalangan. Alhasil, I'm going to be in charge to moderate this session. So, hi everyone, I'm Sashi. Sekarang aku merupakan final year student di Faculty of Economic and Business Universitas Indonesia. Dan sebenarnya walaupun it's a bit unexpected, aku senang banget atas kesempatannya untuk memandu diskusi dengan para pembicara yang hebat, yaitu ada Kak Gita Melia, Dr. Gigi Deviana Maria, dan Ibu Vanessa Hendriadi dalam sesi Women in Positions of Influence, Exploring the Journeys of Female Leaders. And before that, aku ingin mengingatkan beberapa hal yang perlu diperhatikan oleh teman-teman. Yang pertama, teman-teman diharapkan untuk join Zoom webinar 15 menit sebelum acara dimulai. Kedua, teman-teman harap mengganti dan menggunakan display name di Zoom sesuai dengan nama ketika teman-teman registrasi. And last but not least, pada sesi tanya-jawab, teman-teman yang memiliki pertanyaan untuk para panelis bisa langsung menulis pertanyaan di Q&A section di Zoom di bawah ini. Dan setiap pembicara akan melakukan presentasi selama kurang lebih 20 menit dan akan dilanjutkan dengan sesi tanya-jawab selama 30 menit. So without further ado, udah ada Kak Gita di sini, so let's welcome the first speaker of the day. Ada Kak Gita Emilia. Beliau merupakan founder dari Everhouse Ventures, founder and CEO of Avatar Group, and also the co-founder of Second Day Beauty. And you know what? Saat Kak Gita berumur 24 tahun, Kak Gita menjadi salah satu orang yang ada di list ini nih, Forbes 30 Under 30 di tahun 2009 dalam kategori Finance and Venture Capital. So, wow, pasti kalian udah gak sabar melihat pemaparan materi dari Kak Gita. So, Kak Gita, the time is yours.
Hi Sashi, nice to meet you. Thanks so much everyone for having me here today. So today I'd like to just share a little bit more about my story. And again, I'm really, really excited to be here today. If I'm not mistaken, I do have a presentation prepared. Will that be shared on your end, or do I have to share my screen?
That's already being presented, Kak.
Oh, it's already being presented?
Yes.
Okay, then let's move forward. Okay, this is a little bit of a different layout than I planned it, but that's okay. All right, everyone, thank you guys so much for having me today. So I just like to share a little bit more about my journey today. So where I am right now, I am essentially the founder and the CEO of a company called Avatar Brands. And what we do is that we focus on direct-to-consumer brands. So we build brands, and as you guys may know, Second Date Beauty was really one of my first projects that we launched last year. So I launched that in tandem with one of my very best friends, Titantira, and we decided to go into the beauty business together through Second Date. And ensuing Second Date, we also recently launched a fashion line, which is a vegan and sustainable line called Jinsu. And I also did that with one of my very good friends. Her name is Ofisa. Next slide, please. All right, so a little bit about backstory of how I got into basically this business, right? My training was actually formally in finance. So I got my finance degree in the University of Pennsylvania at the Wharton Business School. And that school in particular is it's very famous for finance. And as I was, going through college, I really thought that one day I would be an investment banker. So I did all the things to get into banking. I even worked at JP Morgan in Singapore for some time. But as I was there, I realized that I felt like I was missing out on a really big opportunity to make an impact in Indonesia. So what I decided to do was to go back to Indonesia. Didn't have anything planned. I didn't have any job, but I wanted to be here to really understand the environment. And so I networked my way through a bunch of different conferences, and I realized something, which is that the startup ecosystem is growing, and it's growing at a pace that basically mirrored a lot of the growth that was happening in China about 8 to 10 years ago. And so I decided to jump into this field. I decided to build my own investment company, and that's called Everhouse. We got a bunch of investors on board, and then through that vehicle, we were able to actually support over 20 startups here in Indonesia. So some of the startups that you guys may know about, we actually have shareholding in, which is Bobobox, Eden Farms. You guys might know about Warung Pintar, Dogether, and a lot of other startups as well. So we are the company that supports a lot of these tech-enabled and also tech-driven startups. But as I was in the venture capital industry, I realized something very, very interesting, which was the fact that women are still so underrepresented, not only in finance, but in startups. The number of women-led companies, for example, that were able to secure venture financing in Indonesia alone is less than 5. And that statistic is still the same today. What I mean by that is that it's purely co-founded by women, right? There are a lot of great women founders there, and they may have other male partners. But to find a company that was completely woman run on the executive level and also backed by venture capital was very, very rare in Indonesia. And I thought to myself, I'm like, something must be missing here. Why is that so? If education is already equal, why are we not equally represented in the business world? And when we look into the venture capital side, the finance side, we also see the same story. The number of general partners or managing partners for venture capital funds that are led by women here in Southeast Asia are also probably less than 3, maybe the number stands around 2. The number of general partners that are female in general are just very, very rare and very sparse. And that makes a huge impact in terms of how business is going to be formed in the future. Because imagine if everybody who actually held the financing were men, and all of the men made the decisions as to which companies could actually grow and could actually scale, then we would have fewer businesses that thought about women, fewer businesses that were led by women, and the landscape of business in general is not good. Women itself are not going to have an equal say and an equal part in terms of forming that ecosystem. Especially here in Indonesia, I think that that is a very, very small statistic. And I thought to myself, I'm like, hey, I believe that I'm a woman for a reason, and I should be a woman for a reason, right? I understand exactly what us women go through, especially in business. There's a lot of different like stereotypes that actually we somewhat have to face that men will never understand. And I thought to myself, I'm like, okay, something is amiss. I can't just be doing business as usual if I know that the statistic is so not towards the favor of women. And I decided to do something about it. And that's how I got into launching Second Date, because I believe that we always have to start with the next generation. It's much, much more difficult for us to fix or try to correct something that's already existing, something that's already happening. But if we speak to the younger generation of women, we tell them that, hey, the future is bright, the future is theirs, they can be confident, they can achieve whatever they want through a language that all girls understand, which is beauty. I believe that we can actually make an impact. So my reasoning for actually why I got into Second Date, why I'm building a fashion brand called Jinsu, why I will build many other brands in the future to speak to women is really because I want to speak to these girls, and my passion is basically to deliver this message that, hey, I know that this world may not be fair, but your mindset makes all the difference. And that's what's going to change your future and our future collectively. Next, please. So this is my mission. As I said, it's basically, I want to change the world. I want to change the way, the world perceives a visionary, strong, and capable woman. Unfortunately, these days, we see this and a lot of people get scared about it. They're just like, oh, that's like too strong, right? For a girl, for a female. A lot of stereotypes are basically weighed down on what it means to be a strong woman. Nobody wants to be a strong woman. But my mission is to basically change the way we see what this is. AKA, I want to make smart girls cool again. Next, please. Okay, so these are some challenges for women in business. That's a very interesting photo that you guys chose over there. Anyways, I just want to speak about the reality today, which is that we do face stereotypes as women, no matter how old we are. And I can speak from my experience as well. As a woman in business, I see that the stereotypes that people generally make towards women is that, number one, we tend to lose out on negotiations. Therefore, a lot of investors, a lot of people may not trust a woman leader as much. Why? Because they believe that, like, hey, if I invest in this company, if I back this company, maybe this woman, maybe this leader won't be able to get the best deal for all of us. It's just a stereotype. I'm not saying that this is the reality, of course. Number two, another stereotype, which I think is huge and is a pink elephant in the room that we cannot not address today, is that they believe that women will have to one day get married, will have to devote more time to domestic household tasks, will have to one day take a leave because of pregnancy. That's a huge misconception that those things are actually going to be roadblocks for any woman's career or any woman's work, public work. The third stereotype is that once a woman enters into this phase of her life where she has children, people tend to believe that a woman will not prioritize her work once she has that child. So these are the harsh truths that I just want to lay out there. I don't want to sugarcoat anything. I have personal experiences with all of these in terms of how maybe perhaps I am stereotyped myself. And even as a woman, when you're talking to other women, we tend to also have this stereotype too. So we cannot change the world if we're not changing the way we think about ourselves, about our people, about other women as well. So I just want to take a step back today, and I also want to present to you guys the other opportunity. And I think the opportunities for women in business supersede the stereotypes that may be against us. And this is what I truly believe, because what I see is that it's actually such a big blessing for you to be a woman and for you to actually be in the business world. Here are the opportunities that I will be presenting. So the first one is that, in fact, as a woman, we see 50% of the population Women make more than 80% of all purchasing decisions for the household. That means that out of all of the stuff that exists in a house, perhaps 80% of that stuff is actually bought by the woman in that house, or maybe decided upon. So things from even home electronic appliances to food to clothing, women make so much of those decisions. Unfortunately, all of the companies, or most of the companies that are actually selling those items, are run by men. So as a woman in business, you actually have a great opportunity here to be able to understand what these consumers, what these decision-making consumers actually want. And that's something that is a huge opportunity for women, because we're able to see the other side of the coin. Second opportunity that exists for us is that we're able to speak. I don't want to stereotype all women again, but I do believe that women, because we have this estrogen hormone, we're able to speak with empathy and kindness. And empathy and kindness is one of the most important things that anybody needs to have as a leader in business. An entrepreneur, a manager, you need to have that empathy and that kindness to be able to really move people in the right direction and move people in a way that doesn't hurt anyone. The third opportunity that I see is that we have a great ability to multitask. So I don't want to stereotype all men and women again. However, I think this just goes back to biology. We have that a little bit more estrogen hormone, which actually allows us to think and juggle a lot of different tasks at one point without us getting overwhelmed. And I think that this is a very important trait for anybody that would like to be a manager or a leader. Next, please. I think that's the end of my slide, actually. No, all right. So I just want to say one more thing, which is the difference between an entrepreneur and a leader. And I really want to stress this point. Just because you are an entrepreneur, this does not mean that you are a leader. What do I mean by that? An entrepreneur is simply someone who takes the risk to start something. And an entrepreneur is someone that has a vision. So that's all that makes an entrepreneur. You have a dream, and then you take some form of risk for you to take the first step. That does not naturally make you a leader. To become a leader, it takes a lot of training, because leadership is a skill and it's an ability. And I believe that everyone can be a leader if you put your mind into it. So what do you need as a leader? Number one, you need to be able to delegate tasks. Number two, you need to be able to communicate to other people in terms of what work needs to be done, how they need to improve on their work. Number three, you need to continually inspire. So that's really a huge difference, because as an entrepreneur, if you want to be an entrepreneur, it's very easy. You just have a dream. You just imagine something about the future. But a true leader is able to communicate that and inspire other people to move towards achieving that vision. Number four, a leader can coach. So if you are a leader in a company, that means you are training other people. That means you are bettering other people. That means you're thinking about other people and how to make them better. The fifth one is that a leader solves problems. So there's a really interesting quote, which is, an entrepreneur is almost like someone who's falling off a cliff and trying to build a plane on the way down. Whenever I read that quote, I always think to myself, that's not how it's supposed to be. Because I think that's the difference between an entrepreneur and a leader. A leader would walk up to the edge of a cliff, see how low that cliff is, and try to calculate his exit plan, her exit plan out. They would even try to strategize and try to build the plane first before you take that leap of faith. That's what a leader is. A leader is able to plan, is able to strategize, and able to solve problems. So I urge all of women right now, I think that this is one of the advice that I will leave you guys with, is that these are things that are gender neutral, meaning that to be able to delegate, to be able to communicate, to be able to inspire, to be able to coach, to be able to solve problems, to be able to strategize, to make a plan, it doesn't matter what gender you are. In fact, because you are a woman, maybe it may make you a better coach. You may be able to move other people in a better way. You may be able to move a specific type of people in a more convincing way. These are things that make a good leader, and I believe that all of us as women, we have not only an equal opportunity to become a leader, but we have a great opportunity to become a good leader in the business world. Next, please. So this is my surprise giveaway. Sometimes I do this, not all the time for my seminars, but because it's such a short seminar, I just want to give you guys the opportunity to participate. So essentially, I want to pick one winner today to get a chance to win a second date lip gloss bundle of 4 gel lip gloss. And if you're watching this on YouTube, also you guys can participate. Anybody that's watching this right now can participate. Even all of the moderators can participate in this as well. So it's really simple. Just follow me on Instagram at Jirgita, follow at Your eSister. So this is an Instagram page that I recently set up because I want to speak to more women and to inspire more girls to be able to dream bigger and also achieve more. I want you to repost one piece of content from at Your eSister to your story and tag me. That's it. Do not tag Second Date Beauty because Second Date is currently launching a new product and there's a lot of tags coming in. So simply just tag me as when you're reposting that content, and don't forget to follow me and Your eSister. And I will pick one person. This giveaway, I will close it tomorrow afternoon, and I'll be announcing it on my Instagram story. So that's it, guys. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share today. Can we go next slide, please? I think there's one last slide. Yeah, I just want to leave you guys with this one quote. It's not about making women stronger. I'm not here to try to make women stronger because women are already strong. You guys are already all very, very strong. However, we want to change the way the world perceives that strength. People think that strength is about being dominant or about being bossy or about being stubborn. That's not true. A strong woman is one that can support another woman. A strong woman is one that can love humanity and love all humans to their best ability. And a strong woman is one that is soft, that can maneuver the world with grace and elegance despite any challenge that she faces. So thank you all so much. And I will now resume to the next speaker, I think.
Yes, thank you so much, Kak Gita, for the inspiring insights about how important it is for women to jump into the business ecosystem, and also how vital it is also for investors or buyers to have faith and support these women leaders, initiatives, and businesses that they own. And everyone remember that empowered women empower other women, and that is what Kak Gita does with her multiple initiatives that she owns and leads. And once again, thank you so much, Kak Gita.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Kak Gita. And don't forget, guys, ada giveaway dari Kak Gita. So make sure to do it right now. Bagi yang nggak mau ketinggalan, karena kayaknya aku juga pengen ikutan deh. Jadi nanti kita akan rebutan satu sama lain ya, guys. So bagi yang udah punya pertanyaan untuk Kak Gita, feel free to drop your questions in the Zoom Q&A. And now let's proceed to the second speaker. And she is Ibu Dr. Gigi Deviana Maria Anastasia, who is the founder and Chief Marketing Officer dari Rata, yang merupakan clear aligner pertama di Indonesia. Ibu Deviana merupakan lulusan dari Universitas Trisakti, dan kini beliau juga merupakan ahli dalam bidang aesthetic dentistry. Visi Ibu Deviana adalah untuk meningkatkan akses kepada solusi dental berkualitas agar lebih banyak orang yang dapat tersenyum dengan percaya diri. So, Ibu Deviana, I guess the time is yours.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Sashi, for the introduction. Hi, everyone. And hi, Gita, as well. I think we are connected somewhat. Yeah, I mean, nice to have you all here siang-siang gini hari Sabtu, and I guess all the attendees are girls, I suppose. Okay. Nah, tadi I can relate with what Gita said about being a women leader, because sebenarnya gue juga punya anak gitu, dan apalagi punya anak biasanya kalau dilihat sama investors, are you sure you can handle this whole thing? Are you sure you can grow your company berapa X gitu? Tapi ya, apparently women have the ability to multitask. So I'm gonna share more about my journey kali ya. Lebih more about my journey, karena what I'm doing right now is totally different from my education background. Jadi mungkin di sini aku lebih sharing stories on how I manage my time, I manage my work, and of course how I manage my passion in dentistry as well. So, okay, next slide. By the way, sorry banget slide-nya super simple because I haven't really had a lot of time to do it, tapi aku lebih banyak cerita aja kali ya. Okay, so next please. Okay. Sudah di next atau aku yang masih nge-lag ya? Oops, okay, I think the admin is still figuring things out, tapi nggak apa-apa. Mungkin di sini juga, halo teman-teman UI, dulu aku juga banyak, pernah kayaknya beberapa kali itu juga waktu zaman kampus kali ya, karena kan kalau aku dokter gigi mungkin lebih mainnya ke UI yang di Salemba, jadi kalau di dokter gigi itu kebanyakan 80% tuh cewek. Jadi I really love the community in dentistry karena wah 80% cewek gitu. Kita girl power-nya super tight gitu. Jadi I'm trying to bring that community and environment as well to my company. So let me quickly introduce officer at Rata. So Rata is the first clear aligner that is made in Indonesia. Jadi clear aligner sendiri adalah teknologi yang sebenarnya udah cukup lama di dunia, tapi di Indonesia kenapa pada nggak tahu sih? Karena harganya yang sangat mahal. Tadi juga benar banget yang kata Gita, we as a women, we know the market inside. Karena aku berasa banget sebagai wanita di Indonesia, kita tuh tahu sebenarnya teman-teman kita sukanya apa sih, market tuh lagi sukanya apa sih yang lagi ngehits, dan itu adalah ability kita untuk membuat nggak cuma suatu company, tapi usaha kecil-kecilan juga bisa banget gitu. Aku juga dokter gigi, jadi aku praktek di Pure Dental Aesthetic, one of my first venture actually, dari sebenarnya even before 2016 until now, tapi sekarang udah lebih banyak di belakang layar dan menjadi leader lah ya. Oke, next. Next slide. Nah, jadi this is the quote that I love the most, and I really love Sheryl Sandberg. So in the future, there will be no female leaders. There will just be leaders. Kenapa sih this is the quote that I really love? Karena ya, a leader is a leader. It doesn't matter you're a man, you're a woman, you're just a leader. Because being a leader itself, it's not about your gender, but it's about how you treat your company, how you treat your employees, how you treat your co-founders, and how you treat the business itself. So you're a leader. You're not a so-called women leader, but you're just a leader. So you have to believe in yourself that you're a leader. Gitu. So this is the quote I love the most. Okay, I can go next. Alright, so mungkin aku cerita dikit tentang Rata, but not on the products, but maybe on the journey itself. Jadi, I founded Rata in 2019. Jadi sebelum Rata itu, Dr. Devi ngapain sih? Ya Dr. Devi kebanyakan praktek. Dan kalau praktek jadi dokter gigi itu, you are your own leader gitu. Karena dokter gigi kan kerja ya sendiri aja. Tapi selama along the way, I practiced my dentistry, I feel like I need to scale this up gitu. Ibaratnya dokter gigi cuma punya 2 tangan. And if my vision is to touch a lot of people in Indonesia to make their even better gitu. Nah, I learned a lot as a dentist. Kenapa sih? Karena banyak banget ketemu pasien dan aku juga suka ngobrol sama my patients. Jadi aku figure out, oh ternyata mereka sukanya aesthetic treatment gitu. Jadi kalau gigi sendiri mereka akan datang, oh ada kepentingan estetik atau kalau lagi sakit aja. Jadi there are 2 major problems that we can solve as a company supaya ya kesehatan gigi dan mulut di Indonesia lebih bagus lagi. Karena kalau kita lihat tetangga kita, negara tetangga kita, as simple as Singapura, Malaysia, mereka tuh udah aware banget tentang kesehatan gigi mereka. Gitu. Gimana cara kita membuat orang Indonesia tuh jauh lebih aware lagi? Kita harus pikir caranya kan, karena different people has a different approach gitu. Kayak misal teman-teman yang di Jakarta dengan teman-teman yang di Bali pasti juga mau hal yang berbeda kan. Jadi tadi balik lagi itu adalah market market insight itu penting banget untuk kamu lakukan sebelum melakukan bisnis apa gitu. Ya, as simple as bisnis restoran juga. Let's say di kota A ternyata pada sukanya makanan Jawa, tapi kamu bukanya makanan Italia, yang nggak cocok juga kan. Jadi market insight is really important. Nah, Rata sendiri ini juga udah berjalan 2 tahun, kita memiliki teknologi di mana untuk meratakan gigi nggak pakai behel dengan harga yang lebih murah. Oke, bisa next. So in our company itself, I have more than 50 dentists. Kita juga udah operate more than 10 clinics, sebenarnya udah berjalan ke arah 20. Kita juga ada banyak banget employees. Kenapa banyak banget employees? Karena kita juga memiliki production facility, so we make all the aligners sendiri di Indonesia, and we're really proud of that karena kita the first one who actually made the production facility here in Indonesia. Jadi can you imagine, yang tadinya aku dokter gigi kerja jadi leader diri sendiri, sekarang harus nge-lead a lot of people. So yeah, there are a lot of process getting here, gimana caranya aku berkembang juga, karena as a leader you need to improve yourself continuously gitu. Karena tadi benar yang kata Gita sebutin juga, to be a leader you need to be a coach, you need to be a mentor, you need to inspire a lot of people. Of course, terjemahin misi company kamu, visi misi kamu tuh apa sih sebenarnya gitu. And up till today we have more than 20,000 customers. Okay, next. Next slide. So, okay. So, the story itself, tadi aku udah banyak cerita juga, so maybe we can go to the slide. Jadi, I feel like my 2 years of time in founding a company has been amazing. Udah kayak sekolah MBA lagi kali ya kalau dibilang, karena kalau di dokter gigi kan nggak diajarin dari segi business side-nya, but now I have to know numbers, I have to know market insight, and I think it's really amazing journey for me, karena aku nggak belajar cuman dari external, maksudnya I do courses, aku belajar lagi tentang finance, but the team that I have in the company is really supportive. And mungkin tadi teman-teman lihat kita ada 400 plus rata employees, tapi kalau boleh cerita, boleh sharing, di manager level kita tuh cewek semua loh. Ya, enggak lah, 80% tuh cewek gitu. Kenapa sih? I personally believe that women is really, really amazing at work gitu. No offense to the guys, tapi ini kan ceritanya lebih kayak sharing aja lah ya. I feel like cewek tuh bisa banget, they can handle pain really well. Ya, ibaratnya kita tiap bulan juga have our period, so we handle pain quite well. We can multitask as well. So that's an amazing culture that we are building in Rata itself gitu. Karena kalau ada cewek, balik lagi, they have emotional, they put their emotions inside of the work. Jadi kayak bisa connect with the customers, bisa connect with the team. So we know if there's someone in the team yang butuh bantuan, ya kita akan langsung bantu mereka gitu. So it's been really amazing working with all the women in our company. Okay, next. Nah, mungkin aku juga bakalan share on the next slide about not just leader, but being a woman inside the company as well. Boleh next? Next lagi. Oke, mungkin balik lagi ke motivation kali ya, karena kalau boleh sharing, I have one kid. My husband is my co-founder, and I'm not really practicing a lot. Jadi kalau tanya prakteknya sekarang gimana dok? Sekarang sih cuman seminggu sekali aja balik lagi pasien yang emang pasien-pasien lama aku sih. Jadi what motivates me to become a female entrepreneur? Sebenarnya thanks to my husband as well. Jadi suami aku juga I think he's a believer that female can do so much more, karena dia ngelihat gue aja kayak wah gila hebat juga ya, bisa kerja, bisa urus anak juga in the break time, and of course having time for ourselves. Jadi jangan lupa teman-teman di sini, as a women we cannot do it all, but we need help as well. Jadi, if you're about to break, it's okay. Step back for a while and have time for yourself. Karena kalau kita nggak urus diri sendiri, siapa yang akan ngurus kita juga kan? Jadi, that's the most important thing. Don't forget about self-care, karena it's really important. Nah, yang motivate me, balik lagi adalah my vision and mission to actually touch a lot of people in Indonesia to have better care of their teeth. As simple as that, that's very motivating for me. Okay, next. And I think I covered about the work-life balance. So you really need time for yourself, especially as a woman. But ibaratnya you know your strength, you know your limits. So be true to yourself and put a balance in yourself so you can perform even better. Okay, next. Okay, mungkin ini my last slide. So I feel like these are the 3 things you need to note on becoming a female entrepreneur. Maybe not just an entrepreneur, and also as a leader juga gitu. Karena being an entrepreneur is easy. You can just start the business and it'll start running. You become an entrepreneur. But being a leader, you have a lot of people inside your team to run the business. That's a different challenge. And these are the 3 things I always note to myself. Yang pertama itu adalah emotional connection with work. Jadi you have to connect with what you are doing emotionally. Jadi emotionally-nya bukan yang baper ya, tapi lebih ke arah you feel what your customers are feeling. Jadi kita bisa bikin produk yang cocok buat market. You have to feel what your employees are dealing with. Misalnya ternyata mereka butuh help, ya you have to be there as the leader to help them grow so that your company can grow kan. So you need to feel. Yang kedua adalah building a community. So having an employees, they're not just employees, but they are your work communities. Jadi kayak you build that community so that your business can grow with them as well. Nah, community-nya juga ada external and internal. So internal is your team, external is of course your customers. If you have a happy community, they love your products, then the products will just market itself. Gitu. Yang paling penting terakhir adalah positive energy, because this will reflect on your team, on your company, even on the investors you're talking to. If you have a positive energy, they will be attracted to your business and hopefully the business will run smoothly. Jadi 3 ini penting banget. That is why I always said have a balance from work life. Because kalau energi kamu aja nggak positif, who will be happy looking at your business and of course yourself, gitu. So I guess that's all from my side. Nanti if we have any Q&A, I will be more than happy to answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gigi Deviana, for the outstanding presentation. Jadi kalau misalkan yang bisa aku ambil tadi dari presentasinya Dr. Gigi Deviana adalah sebenarnya perempuan itu secara natural udah punya the instinct or the sensitivity to know what the market likes and what can be improved gitu di market. Jadi sebenarnya tugas seorang perempuan adalah gimana caranya kita honing our natural gifts, improve the skills that can be learned. Kayak Ibu Deviana tadi, beliau belajar business dan finance karena background dia adalah sebenarnya dari dokter gigi, and just start from there, and also don't forget the 3 things that she mentioned earlier to become a better female entrepreneur. Thank you so much, Dr. Gigi Deviana, for the outstanding presentation, and now let's proceed to the final speaker pada sesi ini, yaitu ada Ibu Vanessa Hendriadi. Ibu Vanessa merupakan CEO dan co-founder dari GoWork Flexible Workplace Indonesia, yaitu suatu tempat coworking premium dan terkemuka di Indonesia sejak tahun 2016. Beliau merupakan lulusan teknik kimia dari University of Wisconsin, dan beliau juga telah meraih gelar MBA di University of Southern California melalui beasiswa. Terus di samping itu, Ibu Vanessa juga merupakan seorang certified yoga trainer. So, well, Bu Vanessa, actually, I would love to be your yoga student ya, Bu ya. Mungkin someday. Oke.
Kalau saya ngajar lagi.
Jadi, Ibu lagi istirahat dulu, Bu, ngajarnya?
Bukan, saya emang nggak pernah ngajar yoga sih. Actually, lebih ke untuk praktis sendiri. Karena udah terlalu sibuk sama anak-anak.
Oke, it's okay, Bu. Aku akan tunggu kok Ibu Vanessa kapan bisa ajar lagi.
Sip, thank you, Sashi.
Oke, actually, Bu Vanessa ada video dulu ya yang akan di-play sebelum kita proceed to your presentation. So, maybe the team has the video. Okay.
Sorry, suaranya nggak bisa keluar ya. Oke, terima kasih tim UI. Dan thank you semuanya atas perhatiannya. Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you for inviting me to come to this amazing conference. Saya selalu tertarik sekali kalau diajak untuk ngobrol dengan sesama perempuan yang ingin dan mempunyai cita-cita untuk sukses ya, karena banyak sekali cerita yang bisa saya share dari perjalanan hidup saya, dan tentunya saya juga kepingin sekali nanti semoga bisa dengar dari teman-teman pada saat dan adik-adik ya pada saat nanti Q&A mengenai apa yang ingin kalian cita-citakan. So it's interesting karena bulan ini itu kita juga merayakan ulang tahun ke-5 kita. So the company that I started dulu namanya bukan Go Work tapi Rework, itu saya mulai di tahun 2016. Lalu tahun 2017 akhir saya ketemu sama teman-teman yang waktu itu pendiri Go Work, original Go Work, dan kita tahun 2018 itu menggabungkan bisnis kita, jadi merger yang menjadi Go Work yang saat ini. So I have 3 co-founders now. I'm the CEO dan co-founder saya 2 cowok, 1 CFO dan Chief of Real Estate dan co-founder saya yang satunya lagi CTO. Gitu. Tapi sebelum saya dig deeper, bisa next slide? Oke, next slide lagi. Thank you. Sebelum saya dig deeper ya mengenai perjalanan saya membangun Go Work, I also want to share my background. Jadi latar belakang saya tuh sama sekali nggak ada hubungannya sama apa yang saya lakukan sekarang. So I studied chemical engineering, teknik kimia. UI sempat dari tim panitia sempat share untuk profil teman-teman di sini kebanyakan bisnis, ekonomi, ada yang law gitu ya, dan saya sih pikirannya karena itulah kalian barangkali ada ketertarikan di bisnis. But I actually had no business background. My business exposure itu hanya dari orang tua saya yang memang adalah entrepreneur juga. But I studied chemical engineering di University of Wisconsin-Madison di US. Lalu saya sempat kerja di sana selama 2,5 tahun di perusahaan obat Merck company, which is also a large corporation di US. Lalu saya ambil MBA di USC di Los Angeles. Balik ke Indonesia, sempat bekerja membantu di family business di perusahaan yang orang tua saya bangun. Dan akhirnya di tahun 2016 itu saya membangun perusahaan saya sendiri, which is GoWork. Next slide. Oh, sorry. I forgot to mention why is there these pictures, right? Okay, so I really enjoy, other than work, I really enjoy doing outdoor activities. Seperti yang kalian bisa lihat di sini. Jadi yang saya baru-baru ini hobi saya selain yoga yang tadi disebutin sama Sashi, saya mulai menekunin triathlon. Jadi triathlon itu adalah satu sports ya yang melibatkan 3 disiplin, yaitu berenang, bersepeda, dan lari gitu sekaligus dalam satu hari tentunya. Dan next slide. So that's my photos of when I was doing my triathlon in Bali. Dan yang pertama kali saya menyelesaikan Olympic distance triathlon itu di tahun 2017 atau 2018 ya, di 2018 di Bali. Waktu itu pertama kalinya it was quite tough karena berenangnya 1,5 kilo, lalu bersepeda 40 kilo, lalu setelah itu lari 10 kilo. So total was about 3 hours. So I like this type of extreme sports, and I can tell you why later. Next slide. Oke, jadi ini selain saya adalah founder, most of the stuff that describes me is I'm actually more of a mother and a happy wife. Jadi bisa dilihat itu saya dengan 2 anak saya, cowok umur 7 dan umur 6, and that's my husband. He has been my rock and my biggest supporter in this journey. Kita juga sering goes bareng, dan so that's how I describe myself more than a founder of a business, is that I'm a family person. Next. Lalu apa yang membuat saya ada ketertarikan ya dari mempelajari sesuatu yang sangat teknikal ya kan, chemical engineering kan sangat teknikal ya. Kenapa kok bisa tahu-tahu bikin co-working space gitu. Saya sangat tertarik gitu dari awal, daripada saat saya SD, SMP, SMA itu saya sangat-sangat tertarik untuk mempelajari dan mengetahui, have a very strong curiosity in people. Dan itu yang membuat saya bertanya, apa sih yang membuat orang itu hidup lebih lama? Ya, apa yang membuat orang itu happy di kehidupannya? Dan jawabannya kalau bisa dilihat dari graf ini, itu ternyata social integration. Ini ada TED Talk yang membahas mengenai hal ini. Social integration is actually the main reason why people live longer happily. Bukan karena makan sehat atau olahraga, itu juga penting. Tapi kalau kita tidak memiliki suatu komunitas atau kita tidak memiliki suatu hubungan yang baik dengan teman dan family kita, atau komunitas yang bisa membantu kita untuk melakukan lebih dan memiliki kepuasan, itu hidup kita tidak akan happy. Gitu ya. So next. Dan setelah itu saya mulai melihat bidang apa atau saat-saat apakah interaksi antara satu manusia dengan manusia lain itu terjadi. Dan jawabannya adalah pada saat kita bekerja, ya pada saat kita bekerja. Kalian semua masih sekolah atau barangkali sekarang udah ada yang mulai kerja ya. Kalian bisa merasakan kan, selain kita di rumah, pada saat kita bekerja itu adalah saat-saat di mana interaksi yang paling banyak terjadi. Bahkan lebih banyak daripada kita berinteraksi dengan keluarga. Kalau bisa dilihat nih di bagian ini, sepertiga dari waktu kita itu untuk kerja, sepertiga untuk yang lain-lainnya, dan sepertiga untuk tidur. Semoga nggak ada yang tidurnya lebih dari ini ya, lebih banyak dari ini. But we can see that's how we spend most of our waking life, dan disitulah kita banyak belajar, adalah pada saat kita bekerja. Okay. Next one. So that's why I started Go Work. So Go Work saat ini kita menyediakan suatu service atau produk yang mensupport hybrid working yang sangat-sangat relevan, terutama di saat-saat sekarang ini, pada saat pandemi. Karena sulit sekali kalau teman-teman yang udah bekerja ya, sulit sekali sekarang kita bisa ngantor seperti zaman sebelum COVID, ya kan? Karena banyak yang harus work from home, banyak yang perusahaan yang memberlakukan setengah-setengah, karyawannya setengah masuk, setengah di rumah, gantian gitu ya. So what we do is kalau belum pernah ke Go Work ya di Jakarta, itu kita memiliki 25 office space yang tersebar dari mall sampai ke office building. Jadi kalau kalian pernah ke PI, kita ada di PI, di PP, di Plaza di Senayan City, di FX, gitu ya. Lalu di gedung-gedung yang cukup premium juga di Jakarta. Kita baru buka office di Medan, lalu kita ada satu lokasi di Bali dan satu lokasi di Surabaya. Tentunya dengan adanya servis seperti ini, kita bisa membantu banyak sekali perusahaan dengan memberikan fleksibilitas, dengan memberikan suatu kemudahan. Ya, kemudahan biasanya kalau perusahaan yang perlu bikin kantor itu mereka harus cari lokasi dulu, lalu harus masukin furniture, harus desain dan lain-lain kan. Tapi kalau mereka langsung deal sama Go Work, mereka bisa langsung masuk dan tidak perlu melakukan hal itu semuanya. Gitu. Next one. Oke, kalau bisa dilihat ini kita ada di lokasi-lokasi yang di Jakarta, teman-teman yang di Jakarta, sepanjang Sudirman. Ini kita ada banyak lokasi di sini, di MRT station, di dekat MRT station, MRT stop juga, yang tadi sudah saya sebutkan. So that's part of the flexibility and the ease of use juga, karena kita membantu para profesional, para startup founders, para kreatif untuk meningkatkan produktivitas mereka dengan kemudahan ini. Gitu. Jadi nggak harus jauh-jauh ke satu office yang barangkali jauh dari tempat tinggalnya, karena terutama sekarang juga banyak sekali public transportation yang bisa lebih mempercepat ini. So we're actually trying to help the increasing the productivity and also helping the environment as well. Next one. Oke, tadi sudah saya sebutkan. Kita sekarang ada 24.000 users, 25 prime hub location, dan kita sudah membantu 300 corporate. Ya, next. Kalau ada yang nggak mengerti ya, co-working space itu apa? Kita itu lebih dari sekedar office. Ya. Itulah disitulah passion saya itu tercerminkan, karena saya dari dulu memang demen banget untuk bikin klub, bikin organisasi, lalu mencari common interest gitu ya sama teman-teman. Kita ada ketertarikan apa nih, kita bikin klub bareng yuk gitu. Jadi yang saya lakukan pada saat saya dulu sekolah itu tercerminkan banget gitu dengan apa yang saya lakukan sekarang. Karena di Go Work itu saya mempunyai suatu media suatu arena gitu ya, di mana saya bisa menjadi diri saya sendiri gitu. Dan itulah yang berbeda dengan pada saat saya bekerja di perusahaan yang sebelumnya saya pernah bekerja. Jadi sebelum saya mulai GoWork tuh saya pernah bekerja di 4 perusahaan. Dan yaitu kerja seperti ya bekerja aja gitu, 9 to 5, I go to work, I come back from work, and then the routine continues the next day, right? Tapi yang saya rasakan sekarang itu saya tidak merasa bahwa saya itu bekerja. And I know it's very hard ya. Itu sulit sekali untuk menemukan itu. I actually found this calling quite late in my life. So when I started the company, I was already 38, right? So I'm 44 now. Hopefully nggak kelihatan. Tapi saya ingat pada saat saya masih bekerja itu saya ada kebingungan gitu. Kayaknya I can do more, but I don't know what it is. And that's part of the journey that you guys need to go through. And it's okay to go through that journey. Ya, kemungkinan kalian bisa menemukan itu early on, kemungkinan bisa menemukannya later on, and it's good. It's very good to do it anyway. Next one. Ini saya share beberapa foto dari GoWork. Kalau ada yang belum pernah, bisa agak cepat nggak apa-apa. Ini karena saya hanya foto-foto aja untuk memberikan suatu ide sih space kita itu gimana. Jadi bisa dilihat bahwa office di GoWork tuh nggak seperti office, ya. Lebih ke kayak semacam tempat nongkrong yang keren. Ini yang saya share foto-fotonya ini di public area. Ada area di belakang yang memang khusus untuk office, di mana ada ruangan-ruangan khusus yang lebih private. But this is what you can see, dan inilah tempat di mana interaksi itu terjadi dan di mana kerjasama antar company itu terjadi dan komunitas itu terbentuk juga dari sini. Okay. I want to share, next one is I want to share our core purpose. Ini pada saat saya mendirikan GoWork, this is one of the earlier things that I had to think very hard with my co-founders supaya kita bisa membagikan the question of why, ya. Kenapa kok kalian harus kerja di GoWork? Terutama pada saat saya share dengan semua tim kita, ya. Kita harus menemukan suatu purpose, suatu why, like the why, yang bisa relate to a lot of people, gitu. Dan kita menemukan core purpose kita, yaitu kita ingin meningkatkan kualitas bekerja dan hidup, right? So that everyone can produce their best work and lead meaningful life. Kenapa kok ini core purpose kita? Karena saya merasakan hal ini juga. Pada saat saya bekerja dan hanya bekerja, itu berbeda sekali dengan pada saat saya benar-benar mencintai pekerjaan saya, right? When I love what I do, I really feel like I produce my best work. Jadi nggak hanya ya udahlah pokoknya saya kerja, yang penting ntar jam 5 pulang gitu ya. Dan kalau kita bisa dengan melalui GoWork, kita bisa membantu perusahaan, kita bisa membantu individual, membantu profesional untuk menemukan ini, untuk kita bisa mengimprove their quality of work life, then it's a really amazing calling, I feel. Inilah yang kita share di company, di karyawan kita juga. The next thing is I want to share our company values. Jadi our company values, bisa next. Singkatannya Invent. Oh sorry, this is our employees now sekarang udah ada 100 lebih dari 48 employee 3 tahun yang lalu. So we haven't really grown so much in terms of number of employees, meskipun lokasi kita bertambah lebih exponential gitu growth-nya ya, karena masing-masing individu di masing-masing team member di GoWork itu they are empowered to do more. So that's why our company, the number of employees, the growth is not as fast as the business growth, which is actually a good thing. Dan 70% atau 80%-nya cewek juga, sama yang kayak tadi Dr. Gigi Deviana sharing di Rata. The next thing is about company values. Company values kita singkat menjadi INVENT. Yang pertama inklusif dengan tagline Together We Grow. Yang kedua adalah noble. Noble ini artinya kita do everything right, do the right thing instead of the easy thing. Vigorous, V-nya vigorous, healthy, mighty, wealthy. Artinya kalau kita tidak ada kesehatan, apapun yang kita lakukan tidak bisa kita lakukan dengan baik, gitu ya. Yang keempat adalah entrepreneurial. Entrepreneurial itu artinya I am possible. That's the tagline, our hashtag for entrepreneurial. Dan yang kelima, yang T-nya thankful. We're always thankful with everything that we have, no matter what. Dan kita nggak salah satu value kita selalu grateful karena dengan being grateful we can have more. Gitu. Next one. I have about 2 minutes, but hopefully I can finish. Okay, so leaders, next one please. Saya mau share sedikit mengenai being a leader ya. Being a leader, in my opinion, kita itu harus bisa memakai banyak topi. Jadi nggak bisa topi leader itu hanya satu, yang artinya saya adalah leader yang mencerminkan A, gitu. Harus bisa A, B, C, karena tergantung dengan siapa lawan bicara kita. Kita harus bisa menjadi leader untuk lawan bicara kita yang memang kita harus fit, gitu. Whether it's your employee, whether it's a partner, or barangkali juga supplier dan lain-lain, ya kan? So we have to be able to be very flexible as a leader. Next one. Next. Okay. Karakteristik of a good leader kalau menurut saya itu yang saya adopsi adalah ABC. ABCDEF. ABC. Adapt, brave. Adapt itu artinya seperti yang tadi saya sampaikan, bahwa kita harus bisa beradaptasi dengan siapapun yang kita lead. Kalau bisa sharing sebentar mengenai perjalanan saya sebagai founder ya, tentunya karyawan yang saya employ pada saat-saat awal go work itu berbeda dengan karyawan yang saya employ sekarang. Dan saya tidak bisa menjadi leader yang sama. The size of the business is also different. I cannot be the same leader when I had one location versus sekarang 25 lokasi di 4 kota. What is being brave and being bold? As a leader, of course, we need to make sure that we are comfortable in being uncomfortable. I don't know if it makes sense ya. Kalau kita ingin menjadi leader dan kita maunya ya udah yang enak-enak aja, yang nyaman-nyaman aja, itu akan sulit sekali untuk berkembang. The third one is C. C is communicate. Communicate is extremely important in coordinating across team members. Karena tanpa ini, apalagi sekarang ya, semuanya serba virtual, harus over communicate justru. Karena dengan inilah semua tidak akan ada terjadi suatu kesalahpahaman yang bisa menyebabkan balonnya meletus gitu ya, for no reason. The fourth is do and delegate. So we as a leader we cannot do everything ourselves. Saya dulu pernah punya masalah ini karena again menjadi founder perusahaan yang kecil itu beda dengan perusahaan yang sudah grow. Kalau kita hanya punya employee 5 orang yang setiap hari bisa ketemu di satu ruangan, itu beda dengan memiliki employee yang beratus-ratus dan tersebar di beberapa kota. So we have to be comfortable in delegating as well. Ini berhubungan dengan being brave, berhubungan dengan communicating as well. Positive energy and focus. Ini saya rasakan banget ya pada saat COVID, semuanya mentalnya down. Kita waktu itu sempat harus pay cut juga gitu ya. Tapi kita harus bisa menunjukkan bahwa there is still hope, right? There is still hope. There is still a chance for everybody to play in the arena. Dan kita nggak bisa kehilangan fokus untuk itu. So I think that's the 6 characters of a leader that I can share with you. Ini waktunya udah habis, jadi kayaknya yang next slide-nya bisa di skip aja nggak apa-apa. Nanti bisa barangkali tanya jawab. So I think I would be more interested in hearing your questions than going through my slides. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Bu Vanessa, for the remarkable presentation. Ibu, aku pernah loh ke GoWork, and
yay!
Yeah, I remember being so productive and taking so many pictures at the same time, karena every spot is just way too Instagrammable. Dan
Thank you, Safi.
aku mau nanya deh, Bu Vanessa, untuk mahasiswa yang lagi skripsian nih, kayak aku bisa nggak kita sewa GoWork gitu for a day? Karena kalau di kafe biasanya rame, dan kalau di rumah tuh suntuk. Bisa nggak Bu kira-kira?
Sangat bisa jawabannya. Kita bekerja sama dengan beberapa universitas untuk ini. Jadi salah satunya UPH, kita juga lagi diskus sama Untar. Tergantung kebutuhannya apa, kita pasti bisa melakukan itu. Jadi kalau untuk teman-teman mahasiswa yang lagi skripsi atau butuh tempat yang lebih fokus gitu ya, atau suntuk di kafe dan lain-lain, itu bisa datang ke GoWork manapun dan bisa menggunakan paket daily coworking. Jadi bisa datang setiap hari by the daily coworking package, atau bisa kalau yang lebih oke sih monthly. Jadi 1 bulan datang kapanpun, bisa stay sampai jam berapapun gitu ya. Dan itu jauh lebih murah. Dan bisa datang ke GoWork manapun, jadi pindah-pindah juga oke.
Wow, oke. Dari Bu Vanessa, thank you so much. Dan sekarang kita udah tiba di sesi Q&A. Aku akan jelasin lagi sistemnya. Note, karena mungkin ada keterbatasan waktu, jadi aku akan assign pertanyaan yang kalian berikan ke salah satu speaker, dan nanti ketika speaker sudah selesai menjawab, aku akan tanya ke speaker yang lain apakah ada tambahan atau tidak. So, oke. Boleh Kak Gita dan Dr. Deviana kembali lagi, karena ini pertanyaannya cukup seru sih, dan aku juga kepo dengan jawaban-jawaban para speakers hari ini. Yang pertama, aku ingin tanya ke Dr. Deviana dan Bu Vanessa nih. Ada pertanyaan, what steps should I take to handle my corporate career while also building my own enterprise? Oke, karena aku cukup relate sih, karena biasanya kalau di FEUI, rasanya tuh kita nggak langsung diarahin jadi entrepreneur gitu. Jadi kita adalah satu masa di mana kita harus diarahin jadi kayak corporate slave dulu, dan nanti pelan-pelan baru start our own business. Kira-kira is that possible? Kalau di Sambi, mungkin bisa sharing pengalamannya dari Dr. Deviana dulu deh.
Boleh. So thank you for the question. It's an interesting one. Tapi kalau aku sendiri lebih tim ke arah being a corporate, so-called corporate slave, actually bisa belajar banyak sih. Aku aja lumayan regret loh. Aku seorang dokter gak bisa nyobain jadi kerjaan di corporate dulu, karena I feel teman-teman aku yang kerja di corporate, they have a lot of insight yang sebenarnya gak diajarin di sekolah. Jadi see your time working in corporate itu kayak sekolah lagi. Jadi belajar banyak dari peers kamu, dari bos kamu, from the way you see problems. Iya, jadi kayak anggap itu sekolah lagi aja gitu. And kalau dari segi nyambinya sendiri tergantung kamu ya, bisa multitask atau enggak. Karena kan everyone has a different priorities. Jadi lihat dulu dari prioritas kamu tuh apa sih. Apakah yang pertama income dulu, kalau income dulu nyambi susah daripada bisnis nyambinya jadi nggak semaksimal itu, ya udah tunda dulu aja, it's okay. Jadi set your priorities right, baru kamu lihat lagi deh, mungkin nggak sih nyambi atau kamu fokus dulu di corporate sambil belajar a lot of stuff di kerjaan kamu yang sekarang, gitu.
lebih. Kalau dari Bu Vanessa gimana nih, Bu?
Oke, kalau dari saya mirip-mirip juga jawabannya dengan Dr. Deviana. Kalau dari saya sih lebih, saya ingin sharing bahwa tidak semua orang tuh harus jadi entrepreneur ya. So it's very wrong if you think that entrepreneur is the only career yang worth pursuing. Gitu. Kalau dari saya seperti itu, karena not everyone is cut to be an entrepreneur. And there are a lot of successful people yang masih di corporate. Yang penting bagi kalau saya bisa share advice, itu kita mencari sesuatu yang kita cintai, ya. Jangan karena teman-teman kita bikin perusahaan terus kita merasa terpressure gitu ya, peer pressure. Oh, teman saya bikin startup, teman saya ini bikin startup, masa saya masih kerja di Unilever gitu misalnya atau di mana. If that's your calling, if you like it, it's fine. You don't have to be an entrepreneur, right? Atau kalian bisa menemukan perusahaan di mana kamu bisa menjadi seorang intrapreneur, right? You can be an entrepreneur within a company. Karena kemungkinan besar juga kalian bisa menciptakan sesuatu di mana apa yang kalian lakukan itu menjadi bagian dari sesuatu yang lebih besar. Kita misalnya ngomong aja dari perusahaan-perusahaan yang udah sukses dia startup di Indonesia, let's say Gojek for example, right? There are so many mini businesses within Gojek yang dulunya juga pasti diciptakan oleh karyawan-karyawan Gojek gitu. But they don't have to come out untuk membuat perusahaan sendiri yang barangkali tidak bisa sesukses Gojek gitu, for example, right? So don't feel pressurized. Jangan sampai kalian merasa aku harus memiliki bisnis sendiri. If you feel like that's your calling dan kalian merasa ada solusi yang kalian atau ide atau sesuatu hasrat yang nggak bisa terpendam gitu ya, and you have to do this, then you do it. But if not, then like Dr. Deviana share itu kerja di suatu perusahaan yang memang memberikan kesempatan untuk belajar tuh sangat-sangat bisa menjadi arena yang sangat-sangat bagus juga untuk kalian.
Thank you. Aku juga pengen dengar insight-nya dari Kak Gita nih, karena Kak Gita juga sempat kerja di beberapa perusahaan dulu ya Kak ya, sebelum make your own business. Kira-kira hal-hal apa aja sih Kak Gita yang Kak Gita dapat selama jadi pekerja di perusahaan atau so-called corporate slave yang bisa Kak Gita implementasiin di bisnis Kak Gita sekarang?
Hi, thanks for the question, Sashi. So I think I really resonate with all of the speakers' answer just now. I was just like nodding in my head. First of all, I think we have to change our mindset with the term corporate slave, right? So there are two things that really just like stand out to me as speakers were talking and as we were asking the question as well. Number one is like the term corporate slave. It doesn't really, I don't think it fully paints the picture. Because to be fair, if you're an entrepreneur, you are the biggest slave ever. I don't like to sugarcoat things. I just like to say things as it is. You know what I mean? If you're an entrepreneur, you're leading your company, you are the slave to all your customers, you're a slave to all of your investors. It's much harder than working in a corporate life. In fact, if you are in a corporation, you're receiving a salary that's pretty much consistent. You know, you're guarded by policies, you're guided by these policies, you're in a controlled environment. There's little room for you to really just screw it up and do anything wrong. And besides, you are also protected by the law. I mean, we know that the regulations in Indonesia very much are in favor of employees. And then the second thing that really just like popped in my mind, sorry if I'm not answering your question, but I just want to say one thing too, is that, sorry kalau pakai bahasa Indo ya, tapi kebanyakan tuh kita selalu bilangnya tuh kayak, oh kita tuh masih kerja gitu. Or even just like that phrase, it's like, oh, we're still working. Well, to be frank, you have to just be honest with yourself. What is it that you want to achieve in life? What kind of impact do you want to make? Is the impact you want to make, is it better if you can make it through a company with another organization? Or is it something so unique that you really have to go out of your way to make another company? So you just have to be honest with yourself. There's no such thing as like, oh, I'm still working. Because the implication when we talk to our friends and say like, oh, itu orang masih kerja ya di situ. Itu orang masih kerja gitu. Is that we feel like that's not the end. That's kind of like level 2, and that they haven't achieved like or unlocked like level 3 yet. They haven't like advanced in their life. That's absolutely not true. There are more successful people in careers in companies than there are successful entrepreneurs. So if you want to be successful in your life, don't be an entrepreneur. You have a lower probability of doing that. Anyways, back to your question. I just want to say that for me, I started working very early actually. So ever since I was in high school, I would always intern at like different places, and I'd also do a lot of internships, of course, when I was in college. And I think the biggest thing when I was working is that it's all about training your discipline. And I want to just touch upon discipline, which I think is really important, because if you are someone who if you believe that one day you want to build a company, or even you want to be in a leadership position, discipline is super important. And as a leader, you have to kind of like pass on that discipline to other people. So it's not enough for you to just like discipline yourself, right? But I think the biggest thing that I learned in a company is creating a schedule, or having someone give you a schedule, and then having the discipline, training yourself to wake up that early, to just show up for all of these things. It's that kind of like training attitude that I came in with throughout all of my internships and my jobs, and I think it served me very well in the future.
Thank you so much. Bener banget sih, aku jadi dapat insight lagi karena balik lagi, it's not a bad thing to be someone subordinate, atau kalau misalnya kita masih kerja di suatu company, the truth is kalau misalnya kalian enjoy kerja di bawah orang atau di suatu perusahaan, ya udah kerjain aja gitu. Nanti mungkin 5 years or later gitu kalian akan menemukan calling kalian sendiri kok, whether if it's the right time to be the entrepreneur, atau mungkin kalau misalkan kalian punya career option lagi, it's up to you guys gitu. Karena balik lagi yang ngejalanin itu kalian, dan setiap kerjaan, setiap profesi itu punya resikonya masing-masing. And jangan lupa untuk tanya ke diri kalian sendiri, apakah kalian siap untuk mengorbankan segala usaha, tenaga untuk sesuatu yang worth taking. Gitu. Itu yang aku dapat dari question pertama. Dan yang kedua, ini pertanyaan paling banyak ditanyain juga, which is bagaimana cara leader mengambil keputusan yang benar, apa yang perlu dipertimbangkan. Kayak banyak banget dari teman-teman yang ikut yang pengen tahu gimana atau proses making decision dari speaker-speaker pada hari ini. Mungkin aku bisa tanyain ke Bu Vanessa dulu.
Makanya saya merasa saya bakal dipanggil duluan ya, dan ternyata benar. Oke, gimana caranya bikin decision yang benar? Kalau dari pengalaman saya, membuat decision yang benar itu comes from experience, jadi data yang kita sudah dapatkan dari experience kita yang sebelumnya, dan juga bertanya kepada orang-orang yang kita anggap lebih ahli dari kita, gitu ya. Jadi misalnya kalau saya disuruh membuat decision mengenai, let's say, apakah GoWork harus buka di gedung ini, gitu? Apakah gedung ini adalah gedung yang bagus untuk GoWork buka satu lokasi baru? It's of course one is gut feeling, ya. Tapi tentunya kita nggak bisa membuat suatu decision itu semuanya berdasarkan gut feeling aja. But we have to understand, right, the market, the data. We have to run our analysis. We have to run our numbers. We have to speak to the tenants. We have to build relationship with the landlord. Kita cocok atau enggak sama landlordnya. But all those things we have to do within a given amount of time, right? And if at the end of the day we found out that it's actually not the right decision, because that happens as an entrepreneur, you know, we try to understand everything and get all the information that we think we can get, tapi tetap akhirnya keputusan itu salah. then we just have to be again adapt, right? Adapt and be brave to cut the loss gitu misalnya. Kalau dalam contoh ini gitu ya. And learn from it, like learn from the experience. Karena kalau kita selalu memberikan suatu pressure kepada diri kita bahwa semua keputusan yang kita ambil itu harus benar, it's not life, guys, right? It's really not. I mean, it's hard. There are so many things that could happen, like for example COVID. Siapa yang tahu gitu ya bakal ada COVID, nggak ada satu orang pun di dunia ini yang bisa memprediksi. I think it's pretty safe to say that bahwa seluruh dunia bisa pretty much like crippled for years because of COVID, right? Tentunya apa yang kita lakukan pada saat kita mulai di 2020, we had a big growth plan for Go Work di 2020, and we were very, very excited. But we have to stop a lot of those sampai nanti kita siap gitu kan. So I think it's not really whether or not we make the right decision, but whether or not we can adapt to whatever decision we make and whatever the environment may take us. Gitu.
Oke, noted. Dan aku juga pengen mendengar insights juga dari Bu Dr. Deviana. Kalau misalnya kita membuat decision, apalagi kita adalah orang yang akan paling disalahkan kalau misalkan decision itu atau segala sesuatu keputusan yang kita bikin itu salah, itu kira-kira how you deal with people's expectations and expectations yang coming from your own self, how you handle with those kind of fears.
Ya, jadi sejujurnya nih background story kenapa pilihnya dokter gigi sih nggak dokter umum. Karena jadi dokter umum tuh decision making itu susah banget loh, itu kayak hidup dan mati orang kan. Gue kayaknya gue nggak sanggup deh dengan tanggung jawab sebegitu besarnya. Nah sama nih kayak teman-teman di sini, being a leader yang paling penting decision nggak apa-apa salah dan benar, tapi adalah tanggung jawab dari decision tersebut. Jadi if you wanna make a decision, you better share the options dengan tim kamu, dengan mungkin atasan kamu atau co-founder kamu. Ini loh opsi dari decision yang akan gue buat. Ini plus minusnya. Jadi tim di sekitar kamu, orang sekitar kamu tuh juga tahu, oh ternyata kalau misalnya decisionnya goes bad, ini loh hal-hal yang kira-kira terjadi. Sama aja sih kayak dokter jelasin ke pasien, ini loh kalau lo ngelakuin treatment A, ini akan terjadi bagus-bagusnya, tapi ada efek sampingnya juga kan. Sama sih about the decisions, we have to own our decision sih. It's okay kalau decision kamu ternyata berujungnya kurang bagus resultnya, tapi at least we own it, we own the project, we own our decision. Kita bisa lebih better lagi belajar dari kesalahan yang udah pernah kita lakukan gitu. Yang penting sih sebenarnya owning that decision aja sih. Itu yang sebenarnya susah buat semua orang untuk benar-benar tanggung jawab dari decision masing-masing. Tapi it's okay, you have to believe, pokoknya gut feeling itu never lies. Even though mungkin dari gut feeling saya salah, it's okay. Yang penting kita udah learn dari our mistake dan kita udah tahu akan terjadi hal-hal yang kurang enak kalau kita decide option tersebut gitu.
Okay. I want to hear also from Kak Gita. What's your take on this, Kak?
Hello. I think I resonate again with all the speakers. That's like the best thing about answering last, right? Setuju deh pokoknya. No, I think.
Okay. Kalau gitu aku tambahin lagi. Okay. Yes, Kak.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, you wanted to move on to the next question?
Oh no. You want to answer that question? Aku pengen nambahin aja sih Kak, biar banyak yang bisa dieksplor nih. Ada yang tanya juga khusus ke Kak Gita, have you ever experienced failure in your life and journey to be your current version? If yes, how do you bounce back? Mungkin bisa dicampur sama pertanyaan yang tadi tentang how to make the right decision?
I love that question. I love a question about failure. You know, this is a personal story I'm going to share. Jadi, one time I was interviewing for a bank. So the bank is called Goldman Sachs. And this was like a long time ago when I thought that I was going to be an investment banker. So I interviewed for Goldman Sachs, and I got into the final round interview. And that interview process was literally like 10 interviews. And they would call at like 3 a.m. in the morning. Pokoknya kayak nggak jelas banget. And it was kind of like this like, oh, dream job, you know what I mean? So there are 3 big banks if you are in banking. There's Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, and then Morgan Stanley. And so during the final round of the interview, it was supposed to be an easy interview because for me, I like to prepare like all the technical stuff. And for me, like technical interviews were like somewhat easier than some of these behavioral interviews where they ask you, you know, like share your life story and whatnot. Actually, believe it or not, I used to be very shy. And then now I think I've come so far, like when you talk about like my current version, I think it's someone who's definitely stepped out of their comfort zone multiple times, someone who loves challenges, someone who doesn't mind like being put out there and speaking to a lot of people, right? Because I feel like now I'm just driven by a purpose. Like I have a goal, I have a mission, I want to do this, I want to create this kind of impact. And so the other things don't really matter to me anymore. But I think like when you're in college, you're just so much more like self-aware and you're so much more self-critical about yourself. And everything you think like, you know, it's still kind of like revolve around you, right? And so I just remember when I was in this interview, what the question that they asked me was, have you ever failed in your life? And so I was just sitting there alone in the interview room with the interviewer. And so I was just like, and honestly, I could not answer that question. I stood there and I was just like my brain couldn't process. It's like, what do they mean by failure? Is this a trick question? Things like that. Long story short, I failed that interview. I didn't get the job. That was like a big failure for me. Like, and I think like it definitely, aku terpukul banget gitu loh. Karena how in the world could I prepare for all these other questions? But I didn't even prepare for that question. And like, I didn't even know how to answer that question. I felt so dumb in that interview room because I was just like, literally my brain was just like, cannot process. Like, what do they mean by failure? But, you know, like now looking back, I feel like failure in the end of the day, what I would have answered if I was still, you know, 20 actually during the time of that interview, I would have said failure by my definition is really when you tried something got into your way and then you stop trying. As long as you never stop trying, you never have reached that moment of failure. Of course, there are slip-ups, there are mistakes that you go through, there are a lot of challenges, but as long as you never give up, you never truly fail. If you ask me what my mistakes were in the past, there are so many. But honestly, all of those mistakes have just made me a much better person, a much better leader. It's a part of my growth process and I embrace it. I think the best thing that we can do for ourselves is to embrace all of our mistakes and all of those times when we didn't perform as well, because they are essentially what shape us. I was also having this conversation with a friend kind of like yesterday. We were talking about the term like forgiving ourselves. Oh, is it okay? You know, like if there are mistakes that we did in the past, we have to like forgive ourselves, quote unquote, right? But I thought about it some more and then I actually realized that no, you don't actually have to forgive yourselves. In fact, all of those little times when you actually made those mistakes, you're supposed to carry them forward. And I think that's really important for all of us. Don't forget about those mistakes. Carry them forward with you. Tell yourself that like, yes, that happened. And this is what I'm going to learn moving forward, how I'm going to grow. And there's so many mistakes. It's not just that one interview, guys. Like, I think another mistake that I had is that I've invested in companies before that didn't do so well. Obviously, I've lost like money. Thankfully, some other investments covered it up. But honestly, like losing money is never fun. There are also a lot of management challenges that I face. I mean, yesterday I just had to like let someone go just yesterday and that was purely on the reason that I feel like she was not screened well enough for her job. And of course, I cannot blame my HR. I have to blame myself, right? Because in the end of the day, I did make that decision. So a lot of mistakes every single day. I think every single day there's always a new challenge, a new thing, a new mistake that I make, and I'm still learning, I'm still growing. Thanks for the question.
Thank you, Kak Gita, and the rest of the speakers. Those are very interesting insights on how we see failures. And on to the last question. Okay, this is a very interesting question. I want to ask this to all of you. So the question is, who is one person you think you are indebted to until you at this point besides your parents, and why? And have people laughed at you before you became a female leader like this? Oke, jadi kira-kira pertanyaannya adalah tentang orang yang para speakers tuh paling berterima kasih lah, yang membuat the speakers become the person. Oke, jadi kira-kira itu pertanyaannya. Aku akan kasih pertanyaannya ke siapa yang kira-kira udah siap jawab nih dari muka-muka ya. Oke, mungkin Bu Dr. Gigi Deviana dulu.
Okay, why is Gita always the last? But thank you for the question. I guess that's a tough one. A tough question, but tadi kepikir langsung in my mind, it's actually myself, not to be narcissistic, but I think we all should thank ourselves for, I mean, it's our body, our mind that is leading us into up to this point kan. Kayak gila tiap hari stres, tiap hari kayak makan nggak bener, kayak it's our own self, our own body that we should be thankful for. Kayak kalau nggak ada our body, nggak ada our brain, how we are supposed to function. Apalagi kalau kita sakit, kita lagi down, the company might run itself, tapi beda lah kalau ada kita di sana kan. So I think I owe it all to myself. Jadi tadi juga dari Bu Vanessa sempat share, having a balanced life is really important, karena kalau kalian juga stress, you cannot function well, then you owe it all to yourself sih. Yeah, that's my answer.
Oke, thank you Dokter for
Thank
the
you.
answer. Sekarang Kak Gita, biar Kak Gita nggak terakhir, nanti yang terakhir Bu Vanessa.
I really like Daffy's answer, but I feel like I have to offer a different perspective. So, but I really like your answer. I think I want to take a step back in answering this question, because I do get the question quite a lot in terms of mentors. You know, like, I think a lot of people feel like you need a mentor to become successful, right? And I think that's really the root of this question. Truthfully, you do not need a mentor to be successful. There are a lot of people who are able to become successful without a mentor. And some people feel like, oh, in order for you to become success, that's like a recipe for success. You need to like find a mentor first, then you need to find this, then you do that, and then I can become a great entrepreneur. Actually, that's not true. It's great that you have a mentor, but it's not necessary. I think I'm grateful to have mentors, actually, but it's not that I found them first and then started doing business. It's that along the way, there are people that literally offer their time, people who are very experienced that literally just like offer their time to meet with me, to speak truth into my life. And I'm just so grateful, you know, all aspects of my life. And I think it's really, I really can't pinpoint one person, to be honest, because everyone for me has been a mentor, whether they are working for me or whether I have sought out their help in the past, or whether it's anyone. It could even be a friend. Like, everyone has someone to teach me. And I'm just always blown away. It's like every single conversation that I have with people, the different perspectives that people offer. So I just kind of want to thank the world. I just want to thank like all of humanity, even the people who have challenged me, the people who have put me in tough positions, the people who have told me things to my face that were not so nice. I think I want to thank all of them. And in the end of the day, your experience, your story is really unique to yourself. So when you look at it that way, you know, every single interaction that you have with anyone, even us interacting here, like the opportunity to meet Vanessa and Defiana, like through Zoom, I think I'm very grateful for. So I'd like to thank them for all the things that they've taught me today. and even Sashi and all of you guys. So I think that kind of mindset is one of like gratitude, like constantly being grateful. So, and I'm just grateful for just everybody that I meet. I think I don't think I can pinpoint one person.
Thank you, Kak Gita. That was very touching answer. And the last orang yang akan menjawab adalah Bu Vanessa. Sekalian ditambah, pengen tahu nih Bu, kira-kira have people laughed at you or underestimated you before you became a female leader like this? Then how did you respond to that?
Okay, so it's slightly different question. So, but by the way, I am so thankful as well. Hari ini bisa ketemu Gita and Desi juga. It's an amazing new connection. By the way, I already connected you guys via LinkedIn, so you will get an invite from me. I'm like, we have to catch up. It's like there's so many amazing sharing. I'm sure that we can do together. By the way, Rata sama Gulk juga udah pernah partneran. Sekarang juga masih partneran kayaknya. So I'm very grateful. Have people laugh at me or make fun of me? I think the person who laughed at myself was actually me. I really didn't think that I would be able to do what I wanted to do. Jadi, I think the hardest critic in my case on myself is me. My family has always been very, very, very supportive. My husband has always been very, very supportive. Dan mereka yang justru lebih banyak punya faith gitu ya in me daripada myself gitu. Karena pada saat aku mulai go work itu, my second son was only 9 months old, right? And I just finished breastfeeding, and of course my husband, his experience, he is also a serial entrepreneur. Dan sekarang juga turn VC. So I don't know if Gita, you probably have met him as well. So I learned so much from him. Yeah, I learned so much from him. So it kind of like answering the other question as well. I indebted a lot of things to him as well, to Adrian as well, because he taught me to really believe in myself. Karena pada saat itu dia kan juga banyak banget dealing sama startup founders kan. Dan mereka semuanya itu kebanyakan kalau startup founders tuh very, very hungry and they have a lot of time and they don't have to think about anything else but the business gitu. Kebanyakan kan masih single gitu, masih in their 20s, late 20s maybe, pernah kerja tapi barangkali masih belum selama pada saat itu. You know, I have worked for quite a while already, right? Dan I was very intimidated gitu. Kayak gimana caranya ya? I have 2 kids, I have a household to manage. Terus I also have myself. Terus my parents juga nggak di Jakarta, ya kan? There's just a lot of things as a mom as well that I have to deal with gitu. Dan because of the support that I had and still have from him, from my husband, from my parents and my siblings, that is how I was able to overcome the fear of failing. Because like it or not, meskipun kita always over glorified failure, and failure is great because we can learn from it, I don't think people plan to fail, right? I think it's being human if we are scared to fail, especially if in my case, in a lot of our cases as well, duitnya yang masuk bukan cuma duitnya kita aja gitu. We are responsible to so many investors, right? And I ask myself, if they believe in me in running the business, then I should be able to be brave again, like the characteristic of being a leader, being brave and just take the plunge gitu. So that's from my experience.
Okay, thank you so much, Bu Vanessa, for the thought the thoughtful answer. So actually Bu Vanessa's answer marks the end of this session. Sekali lagi aku ingin mengucapkan terima kasih banyak kepada Kak Gita Amelia, Dr. Gigi Deviana Maria, serta Ibu Vanessa Hendriadi karena telah menyempatkan hadir pada diskusi hari ini dan menginspirasi kita semua. Aku juga ingin minta maaf apabila terdapat kesalahan kata ataupun kekurangan dalam berjalannya sesi hari ini. So that's it, guys. I'm Sashi, signing out as the moderator for the first panel of the day. Sekarang aku akan kembali berganti peran menjadi MC bersama Rara. Rara, silahkan.
Hey Sash, welcome back. Oke, sekali lagi terima kasih banyak kepada para pembicara yaitu Kak Gita Amelia, Dr. Gigi Deviana Maria, dan juga Ibu Vanessa Hendriadi atas pemaparan materi mengenai their stories, their inspirational journey untuk mereka sampai di posisi mereka masing-masing saat ini. Semoga teman-teman peserta dapat memperoleh insight menarik serta sudut pandang baru mengenai topik yang baru aja dibahas. Oke, tapi sebelum kita lanjut lagi nih, bakal ada sesi penyerahan e-certificate dan juga foto bersama para speaker. Pertama-tama penyerahan e-certificate kepada Kak Gita Amelia. Kepada Kak Gita, bisa menyalakan kameranya dan smile to the camera. Kita bakal foto bersama. Oke. Kak Gita siap? Oke, aku bakal kasih aba-aba di hitungan ketiga. Baik. 1, 2, 3. Oke, sekali lagi. 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much, Kak Gita. Oke, next up. Yaitu kepada Dr. Gigi Deviana Maria. Bu Deviana bisa menyalakan kameranya dan kita bakal foto bersama. Smile to the camera. Aku bakal kasih aba-aba lagi di hitungan ketiga. Oke, 1, 2, 3. Oke, sekali lagi ya. 1, 2, 3. Oke, thank you so much, Dr. Gigi Ibu Deviana Maria. Oke, ketiga, ada penyerahan e-certificate kepada Ibu Vanessa Hendriadi. Kepada Bu Vanessa untuk standby, kita smile to the camera dulu, kita foto bersama. Saya akan berikan aba-aba di hitungan ketiga. 1, 2, 3. Sekali lagi ya, Bu. 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much, Bu Vanessa. Oke, sekali lagi untuk seluruh speakers, kita akan foto secara bersama-sama. Mohon untuk smile to the camera dan standby. Aku bakal kasih aba-aba kalau udah ready semua. Oke, udah ready semua ya. Oke, 1, 2, 3. Sekali lagi, 1, 2, 3. Oke. Oke, foto bersama dicukupkan. Sekali lagi, terakhir kali kami ucapkan terima kasih banyak kepada para pembicara yang terlibat dalam panel ketiga.
Okay, once again, thank you so much for the speakers. I wish you all a successful career ahead and to always be an inspiration for Indonesian women and stay healthy. Oke, Ra. Jadi sebelum kita lanjut ke rangkaian acara berikutnya, kami ingin mengucapkan